Here, a baseline survey trying to assess why we have few women, and given an opportunity, will women really continue working in the transport sector? And is there a correlation of having less women in the transport sector and sexual harassment? And actually, we realized about 74% of women here in Machakos have experienced sexual and gender-based violence. And less than 10% of the public transport workforce is comprised of women. So you can see the higher the cases of harassment, the lower the numbers of women working in the sector. So, and that's the reason why actually we decided, why not come with a long-term solution to address this and elevate the voices of women who are taking up opportunities and that bold step of working in the sector. So back in 2021, after starting working with the county, we decided to create a platform where we bring together women in transport, just to give them a voice, to influence decisions, to also engage the policymakers, different government and non-governmental agencies, such that we grant them that way, because they normally say there's nothing for you if you're not there. And you can talk of sexual harassment, but if we do not have the real people who are going through this, then there's nothing much you could be doing. So,
Flone initiative has over 7 years experience in implementing interventions, conducting research, and organizing inclusive dialogues on public transportation. What is the policy focus? Responding strategies, establishing an gender-based violence prevention environment, establishing support programs, educating and advocating for meaningful change in attitudes and culture to contribute, or that contributes to the acceptance of SGBV in public spaces. Providing a specific budget for the fight against sexual harassment and gender-based violence. Engaging the media in broadening the knowledge of violence or evidence about sexual harassment and gender-based violence. Establishing and maintaining an ICT database on SGBV. Ensuring that issues of SGBV are integrated into county policies, legislation, and strategic plans. Establishing and coordinating anti-SGBV working groups at the ward and village level. Developing and distributing advocacy materials, pins, pocket guides, stickers, flyers, bus and matatu tickets to the crew, passengers, and other service providers in a way that others are getting to know about it. And if there will be any input as where we are, we will be doing reviews as we continue with the policy. In July 2022, that is last year, the Cabinet validation of the final draft of the policy was done. And in August 22, Machakos County sexual harassment, gender-based violence policy was approved.
These are things that are normally taken very seriously. Now, cascading down to a peaceful state like ours, you may not know these things happen, but they happen. Even to the slightest extent of where a lady is here boarding a bus or a matatu. I remember sometimes these things were so rampant in Nairobi when people used to cling on the bus. And here you find a man just doing some funny things being a woman. Yeah, these are the things that we are talking about. Let us not cascade the ladder and go so high. Talk about things like they are in the moon, yet they are with us here. We are talking of even making the sitting blocks along the stage to be habitable areas. This is where a lady will come dressed on a white skirt and sit on some fun things, a very disgraceful thing. Yeah, it is shame. You see, a lady will not imagine that there is some dirt behind her skirt when she's walking forward. this is what you are trying to look at, you know, trying to make sure that those spaces are clean, where people must sit when they are waiting for transportation. How about inside the vehicles? There are some vehicles which are very dirty, extreme. You board a vehicle, you don't know what you are coming out with. Yeah, you just get in and sit and you don't know how you are going to come out. Is it not also in the same life? So in the same vein, we are talking about, you know, concentrating, putting our effort on every aspect of transportation.
I want to appreciate our partnership with Flone initiative in regarding matters sexual harassment and gender-based violence policy in Machakos County. For the sake of those that we've not been with this matter, when I joined as the minister, I found this policy at its tail end, and we were able to launch this policy in partnership with the Flone initiative and the Women in Transport in, I think, sometimes last year. Yes, it was the close of last year, and we were together with a number of my colleague ministers. And one of the things that I am very impressed about this policy is because it touches the core of our society. Right from the beginning of our movement, when we were born, some of us were born in hospitals, and others were born back in homesteads. And the day we were born, we required some form of transport, either public or private. And this thing of public transport affects directly each and every one of us. If we make good decisions that affect public transport, then we are making good decisions that affects us as individuals and that affect us as families. You realize that in our country, we've had very transformative decisions about entrenching gender, in the mainstreaming gender in public spaces. And we've taken decisions as a country to make sure that we protect all genders and the vulnerable and the minorities and the marginalized in the society. And part of this bill is aimed at achieving those values and those virtues of entrenching protection of the vulnerable, of the minorities, of the marginalized in the society, and mainstreaming gender. We deal with public transport in managing operations of bus bays and bus parks and the way the operators of public transport conduct themselves. We are majorly in policy decisions and guidance on their operations, and we deeply partner with the Department of Trade in coming up with trade policies, the charging of the various operations. We also partner deeply with the Department of Devolution on matters of enforcement, especially with the administration and also the county inspectorate. And I want to appreciate the chief officers here present, because this goes a long way in achieving the implementation of these policies.